This D2C brand scaled to $500,000 per month on Amazon in just 90 days. But this isn't just another Amazon hacks video. Today, I'm sitting down with the CMO behind that brand to unpack how smart D2C brands should be thinking about Amazon in 2025, not just as a sales channel, but as a core part of their growth strategy. We get into how Amazon impacts retention, why it changes how you think about paid media, and what most executives get wrong when they expand. So if you're running a 7 or 8 figure brand, this conversation will shift how you think about Amazon forever.
My name is David Holmes. I'm the owner of Redview Ventures, a boutique Amazon management agency. And today I have Brian Oliver here, who is the Chief Marketing Officer of Simpler Hair Color. So, Brian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, yeah. So I'm the head of marketing for Simple Hair Color. We are a men's hair color brand. We help guys that have gray hair get rid of their grays. We provide a simpler and safer way to look your best. So, yeah, I've been working with Simple Hair Color now for, since 2021, almost 4 years now, which is pretty awesome. Joined the team when we were still like low 7 figures. We've now grown to well into the 8 figures now. And yeah, really looking forward, man. We just launched on Amazon last year with the help of you.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward just to talking more about some Amazon stuff. It's definitely been pretty big for our business. So
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, that sounds great. So, I do want to ask you what made you kind of consider Amazon in the first place? And then what was going through your head when you were thinking about launching on the Amazon and kind of the potential pros and cons?
yeah, Amazon was always kind of on our radar. So we've been all D2C until we launched on Amazon. We're not in retail. We've been only on a website. And we got into 8 figures a year, like a decent way into the 8 figures, just on D2C. But we kind of hit this point where we were like, all right, growth is not as good as it was. We felt like we were kind of like hitting a cap a little bit, and we just weren't really, we just weren't seeing the growth numbers. And we were basically spending more money. And we weren't seeing as good a return. And we were like, okay, what's going on here? And we wanted to launch on Amazon. We had been thinking about it, but it's a big move. And it's like, that's the first like ever, channel expansion really outside of doing our website and everything. We had a few reasons too as to why we only launched on website, which originally like we wanted to really own the customer experience, build an email list.
Yeah, I know it's a big concern with Amazon.
It is, yeah. And I think we actually made the right decision. Looking back, I probably would have launched sooner on Amazon, but I still think we made the right decision of like owning the customer experience, getting a ton of feedback from customers too. It's just so easy to like send them surveys and like reach out to them directly and be like, what do you think about the product? Like talk to people. So we did that for a couple of years, but like I said, we got to the point where it's just like, all right, we're not seeing the same growth that we want to see. What do we think that is? And we were like, well, it's probably because there's only so many people that are going to buy from us on our website, pretty much no matter what we do.
Yeah.
So we need to like start being in more places.
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, as you scale up paid media spend, you already hit diminishing returns. As you start spending 10, 20, 30, 50,000, $100,000 a day, you've hit that.
Yeah.
Because you're driving all that traffic and they only have one place to purchase.
Correct.
So is it fair to say, like, when you kind of considered adding Amazon to the mix, you were primarily looking to increase efficiency across the business and reach new customers?
100%. Yeah, that was the main reason. Because it's true, like there are some people that will just only buy on Amazon. Yeah, they were telling us that. Like we would get comments sometimes like, oh, I was going to buy it, but nope, you know what? I'm not doing it. Like it's not on Amazon. Yeah. I think that's partially like people just trust Amazon. Some of it is that. Some of it is, I mean, come on, 1 day, 2 day shipping. Sometimes it shows up the same day you order. It's like,
it's hard to compete.
It is. That's Amazon's biggest mode, honestly. If you ask me, is just their logistics and their ability to get things quickly to customers. But yeah, basically it was just to get in front of new people, maybe people that are already on Amazon and don't know about us.
Yeah.
So there's some of those people too, but also just the people that don't want to buy anything that's not on Amazon.
Of course.
Well, they also make it really easy with returns, everything. People trust it.
So I guess, what was kind of a couple of your concerns when launching on Amazon? Obviously, you don't own the customer as tightly as you do through Shopify. You can't provide as much support, although we found a couple ways around that. But we can go into that a little bit later. But what was kind of like the internal discussion about like, hey, how can we prioritize customer experience? How can we make sure people still have a good experience with us on Amazon?
Yeah. So this is also the thing is like on Amazon, you don't get as many of the touch points Like you don't get emails and everything. So we want to make sure we can pack as much customer education as possible into the Amazon storefront experience. Like we actually on our current website, we don't have different listing images. We only have model images, which we actually tested it recently, like adding in the Amazon ones. It didn't work for some reason. I want to retest that.
That's an interesting experiment.
It's crazy. Yeah. I want to do it again. We had to stop the experiment because we were launching on a new subscription platform. That's a whole another story. But we had really paid a lot of attention. I think we probably went back and forth with you for like a month and a half or something like that, like just tweaking little things and like making sure that the A+ content was correct. That was also a huge thing. It's like getting that A+ premium, I think it's called.
Yep. A+ premium with the video content, the Q&A, everything, just to show that they have the customer education.
Yeah. So putting that in there. We also actually added a card insert to our color box. That's what we call like our hair dye kit.
Yeah.
And that basically, it says there's now 2 things on it. We actually ended up tweaking it later on again. But we put a little like QR code and it said like, check out our expert videos. So that people can go there, which then takes them to our website also. So hopefully they'll like, oh, these guys have a website too.
Yep.
Maybe they'll want to buy from us on our website. We're not opposed to that. Margins are better there. So there is that to keep in mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just want to try to educate the customer the best that we possibly can and really provide them with the best experience that we can. And maybe throw a few little, hey, we do have a website too, messages in there so that they can maybe check us out there too.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're shipping out thousands of packages a day from Amazon or from your website, they're going to see your package, and that word of mouth is going to spread and kind of organically as well. It's extremely difficult to track, obviously.
Yeah.
But just getting your product in more hands of more people through a different channel can help.
Totally.
Yeah.
Especially like, I think we've been talking about this recently.
Yeah.
We're really trying to move away from doing branded advertising on Amazon. This is something you keep, like, I love that you are paying attention to this stuff, David.
Yes.
It's like, I don't want to be advertising on branded stuff. It's like, it's not incremental, right? I'm always trying to figure out like, where are the most sales that I can get that are actually sales that I wouldn't have gotten before.
Yep.
Right. And I want to focus most of my marketing efforts on that. And there's people out, other competitors will say, friends of ours, good friends of ours, that we can maybe put our product in front of people that we're looking for, those people that maybe would never have known about us. And those are like totally brand new people. So there's also that opportunity on Amazon that you don't even really have with Shopify or anything on a website where like, when you are advertising on Meta is inherently going to, which is our largest advertising channel, but we also advertise on a few other channels. Meta is going to show it to the people that it thinks are going to be like your people. Yeah, it's very hard to expand outside of that. Yeah. So I really think, and this kind of is reflected in our sales numbers, we are actually getting in front of totally new people that we were not getting in front of before, just being on Amazon.
See, so that's so interesting because a lot of people think of Amazon as purely demand capture. And I do agree that for the most part, Amazon is demand capture. You're primarily generating demand on Facebook, TikTok, like social media, paid media spend. And then you're capturing it on Amazon, improving the MER across the business. But this is very interesting because like you're saying, there are certain strategies on Amazon, strategies that we've been implementing where we can get in front of new customer acquisition. And we know with fairly high confidence that they are new customers.
Yeah, especially like, I'm not going to name the name of our main competitor. People will know who it is. But they wouldn't be, if they're seeing this, they're not going to be very happy if I mention them. So,
well, they're running the same ads against us. So it's kind of just, it's different tat.
Yes, exactly. But they, they actually are larger than the entire category, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So we can advertise.
In terms of search volume on Amazon.
Yes. They are larger than like men's hair dye.
Yep.
Which is kind of insane. So yeah, it definitely, like, I think getting in front of some of those people, and our product is really like, they control 90% of the entire men's market. So it makes sense also that they are bigger than the like men's hair dye kind of category, or at least search volume wise. I think getting in front of more of those people and showing them like, hey, we have a better solution really helps them understand like, this is something I want to do. It's also like, you have to keep in mind, a lot of people are on Meta, on Instagram, on Facebook, but not everybody.
That's true.
Right. So
I mean, 60% of product searches start on Amazon. They don't even go to Google to search for hair dye.
I didn't even know that.
They go straight to Amazon.
I can say that in my own behavior.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, if you're looking for basic products around your house, deodorant, detergent, anything like that, like, you're going to go straight to Amazon. Like, you're not going to be scrolling Facebook and be like, oh, what is this new detergent?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I just bought sneaker balls because it's getting hot here in Austin. I got sweaty feet. Gross. But
Yeah.
that's what I did. I went on Amazon. I was like, shoe, like, I think I just looked up sneaker balls or something like that.
I just did due diligence on an acquisition for a shoe deodorizer company. Just a couple days ago, actually.
What do they offer though? I'm curious now.
They were doing scented sprays for like smelly shoes.
Okay.
But going back to kind of getting in front of new customers on Amazon, I think what I've been calling this recently is the 3-tiered ad strategy.
Yeah.
And I have a video on my YouTube kind of breaking it down, but essentially you can bucket all keywords into 3 tiers: branded keywords, generic terms, and then competitor terms.
Mhm.
And then you can assess a measure of incrementality. Branded, probably the least incremental. We can just think about this, right? And then generic, probably partially incremental. They're not searching for your brand name. So like for you, it'd be hair dye.
Yep.
Now you might still be generating awareness on Facebook. And then when they see hair dye on Amazon, then they're like, remember that Facebook ad?
Yep.
That's hard to measure, but partially incremental. And then competitor terms, obviously the most incremental. Somebody's directly searching for your top competitor, and then we get in front of them and steal that sale, actively take away market share from them, and then bring it to us. So here, like we set different return on ad spend targets for each of those because it has to be assessed on an incremental sale.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole goal, is try to drive as much incremental sales as possible. And I think what you laid out definitely lines up with how I would think about it. I do, especially since our competitor category is so large. I think other people, they might have a slightly different setup, but I think that would line up. Yeah, exactly. And that's always the key, right? Is how can we get, like I said earlier, the most sales that would not have happened without us doing something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a nice incremental sale. Yeah. So one thing I do want to touch on is a lot of people feel that going on Amazon kind of devalues their brand. Now you are a premium product priced on Amazon. A lot of your competitors are 80% of your price. 80% price.
You're 5 times more.
You were priced 5 times more.
Yep.
So how do you perceive Amazon in terms of like your brand equity? And then how are you competing on Amazon despite being a premium price product?
Yeah. So, okay. There's 2 questions there. I guess brand equity wise, I think I kind of get what people say when they talk about that. They're like, oh, I don't want to like hurt my brand or whatever. I don't think Amazon really has that effect though, because everybody's on Amazon. Isn't it like, I think it's like 70 or 80% of US households?
Yeah.
So like, does it really, like if 80% of people like this thing, I think they're only going to associate the thing that they like more with your brand, which is like good, right?
It's just whenever somebody says that, it's just like, as we said kind of earlier, there's multiple people who will only purchase on Amazon. Like they're used to the 1-day shipping, the Prime subscribers. They've been Prime subscribers for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Spent probably $50,000 on Amazon. And it's like, do you want to be in front of these people? Yes or no? I mean,
It's kind of the question, right?
no,
I would want to be in front of them.
I wouldn't want to be in front of them.
I want to have a big business. So,
And you've seen some of the biggest businesses, because the reality is that a lot of us aren't running brands like Nike.
Yeah.
Right. And if you've seen how Nike stock is doing, it's actually not doing that's how
maybe they should think about Amazon.
But if you're running like an 8-figure brand and you're trying to get to 100, 200, 300, 500 million dollars, I mean, the clear path is expanding to more channels, I guess, especially in 2025 and as customer acquisition gets hard.
I agree. Especially, like I said earlier, there are some people that will just only buy on Amazon, and it's a meaningful amount of people.
Yeah.
Like I used to go through all the time all of our Facebook ads and just look at all the comments. I don't do that as much anymore. We have a whole team now that handles a lot of that stuff, but I think it's great just for customer research.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would see it, let's say I reviewed 100 comments, I would see it 10 of those, 5 or 10 of those are like, nope, it's not on Amazon. So let's just say it's 10% of customers are not going to buy. If you're doing 8 figures a year, 10% more customers, that's a lot. That's going to add up very, very quickly. So it's definitely very meaningful. Now, I will give one very slight exception, which is I think for like super luxury, like Louis Vuitton,
Yep. I agree.
you probably shouldn't be on Amazon because they like almost want to make it difficult for you to buy the product.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the Rolex model.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we have to go to the AD. Like, yeah, you have to
There's a whole process.
prove yourself.
Yeah. That's a different thing. 99.9% of brands are not at that level yet.
Yeah.
And they probably won't be there. You're not selling that kind of product. You're not 100-year-old and like you're not selling like super fancy leather bags.
Yeah.
You probably should be on Amazon.
Yeah, and one thing like any brand can do right now is just go type in your brand name to Amazon and see how many times it's searched.
Yep.
So that was one thing like we did with you guys. We showed you guys were being searched 20,000 times a month.
Yeah.
And like we were able to like very quickly assess like, hey, here's how much revenue we kind of expected. Obviously, we exceeded that by quite a bit.
I was surprised.
I was to be fair, I was
Both of us.
I was surprised too.
Yeah.
But that is a very simple metric. I mean, if you're getting anywhere from like 1,000 to 5,000 searches a month on Amazon, like you can probably do at the very least like 50K a month through Amazon. And that's with like 1,000 people searching your products. And that's just like a very basic expectation. But then like from there, you kind of scale up. So now I do want to tackle the second part of the question.
Okay.
So most DTC products are premium price products,
Mhm.
right? How do you think about Amazon when a lot of people think about Amazon is like a pricing war, like a race to the bottom, copycats are a problem? Like, how do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of always comes back to product.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're trying to price yourself way higher than everybody else, but your product just isn't actually that unique or different or really solving a customer problem, it's going to be tough no matter what you do. So, you know, I'm the marketing guy, but I will totally admit like our product is super important. That's honestly a huge chunk of the reason why we are able to grow to the levels that we have is the product front. And I want to give a shout out to our founder, Snehal, because he is a men's hair dye user for 15 years, I think, and had this problem and came up with actually a unique solution. So that's one thing is like the product side of things. But also a lot of it is like we got to get customer reviews. Reviews is probably the most important thing on Amazon, honestly. Like if you don't have good reviews, it's going to be very difficult to like get a lot of sales. Something we're constantly talking about. I probably ask David every time we have a call, like, all right, how do we get more better reviews? Like, what do we got to do? Well, if that goes back
use all your external resources. Yeah. So, I mean, we can kind of go through that about how to craft like the perfect launch. Because the fact that you were on Shopify before, you had so many owned customers. Yes. Like you can use these resources on Amazon to help supplement, like just get an initial start and then helping build like your moat.
Yeah, we sent out an email to, I think, almost all of our list, if not our entire list, basically being like, we're on Amazon. You've been asking for it.
Yeah.
Here you go. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't really like, because the margins are worse on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest. I've heard a lot of people say like, are you sure? Like, you want to do that? It's like, what if they just go to Amazon and they end up losing money? And our idea is like, okay, that might be true. We might see a certain percentage of customers go over there. We might lose some money on those customers compared to what we would have seen with DTC. However, the ability for us, especially in that first 30 days or so, to like really be able to get a ton of sales volume going here.
Yeah.
Good reviews during the honeymoon phase, basically, and then rank more highly for some of these other terms.
Yep.
So like, because those customers, they're just going to search for our brand names. So there's these incremental sales. But if we can start to rank more highly for some of these more generic terms, those competitor terms, then we can start to pull in and get more incremental sales across the board. So we were like willing to basically lose some of that, but gain in some of these other areas, especially since we're like thinking about Amazon in the long term. It's not like can we get an awesome month like that first month? I mean, that's great, but we're thinking about like, hey, how do we turn this into its own 7-figure channel, 7-figure a month channel? That's something we're trying to like work on now.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot of interesting things there. And I would like kind of your input because I don't think that there's a lot of good data about this. And you don't have to get to specifics, but how have you seen kind of like MER as a whole change since getting on to Amazon?
Yeah. MER, can you give me your definition of MER?
So marketing efficiency ratio, total paid media spend divided by like total revenue.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the same one. We use. I always like to ask because everyone has a different, like ROAS or MER.
Yeah.
So okay. So I'll mention first. Like we launched on Amazon in November, so it's Black Friday. So, but we had our best month ever that month.
Yeah.
And we also were more efficient than we were, I think, the year before. So we got more sales and we're actually more efficient. So there's that. The challenge that we've had is like measuring first-time customers.
Yes.
I'll also mention too, we've also now set another new record overall sales again in March. It's what we just had. So that was our new #1 month of all time.
Amazing.
Yeah. Which all of last year, like we were seeing very, very small growth, and we've seen now it's like crushing it, where we're growing much more quickly, and we don't have to spend as much to see that level of that growth.
Now, I know you're doing stuff on the Shopify side as well. Is there, as you guys are continually improving your paid media spend, you're testing out new channels.
Yep.
Is it fair to say, I mean, Amazon has helped like MER?
100%. Yeah. I'm trying to like circle back around to that. So how do I say this? I can't give specific numbers. Sorry, everybody. But basically what we've seen is like we very shortly after we launched on Amazon, we did see DTC sales go down slightly, but we saw overall sales go up significantly.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't see DTC sales go down that much. So Shopify sales, it went down maybe like, let's say 10%. It's the rough amount. But we saw overall sales go up by 20%.
Exactly. So you got a net gain of 10 to 15% overall on revenue.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, obviously, if P&L is slightly affected because of the Amazon fees, but then like you also have subscriptions through Amazon.
Yep.
And then what I've seen in the past is subscriptions on Amazon tend to be stickier than D2C, just because when somebody has 5 subscriptions to Amazon, then they also get the extra 5% off that Amazon sponsors. So, and just imagine like kind of the customer behavior. Somebody has subscriptions to deodorant, baking soda, like every household good from Amazon.
Yeah.
They're not going to order something from like a D2C site and be like, this thing comes on like a random Tuesday when like my Amazon deliveries come every single Friday on the dot at like 8:01 a.m.
Yeah.
It's typically what I've seen on Amazon, and the new subscriber dashboard gives us better visibility into this, is like the subscriptions are stickier on Amazon. And then what that does is it helps build the overall equity value of the business, because when somebody comes in and acquires one of these businesses, they want to see as much recurring revenue as possible. And so that's kind of how I've seen that work.
Yeah. I'm curious, do you know what percentage of Amazon users have like 5 subscriptions?
I don't actually. I don't know that off the top of my head.
So I would wonder how many people that is. I would guess it's probably a decent amount.
That is the metric at which Amazon funds the additional 5%. So the maximum a seller can fund is 10% off of subscriptions, and they have 5 or more auto subscriptions. Amazon funds another 5% to a maximum of 15% off.
Oh, wow.
And then what other thing you can do for subscription-based products is implement first-time subscriber coupons. And I was actually just running an analysis on this right before this. And it's very brand dependent, right, about how much these subscriber coupons influence subscription growth rate. But typically, it increases your week-over-week growth rate by between like 15 to 30%.
Okay.
So it's fairly significant. If you're trying to focus on recurring revenue, then like you got it, and it's actually in competitive categories. Supplements, if you have to run first-time subscriber coupons.
Yeah.
Like at the very least, like you're breaking even on first purchase. You might even want to go slightly negative on first purchase just for supplements. Any other product is really category dependent.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I've been doing a lot of research onto that recently, and it's been quite interesting.
Yeah. For subscription for us, I'll share just more on the D2C side. I haven't looked, honestly, as much as I should at Amazon subscription stuff.
Yeah.
But on D2C, it does make up about 30% of our business. Actually, that's total business. That's including Amazon. So we do have a decent amount of subscribers. The one thing that's kind of interesting, we also offer a pretty big discount for subscribers.
Yep.
It's 14% off on every order. And we actually see, this is just our product. I think other people, this will be different. But our one-time purchase rate is so strong Like people will just come back and buy one-time purchases. Our LTV is actually like, I think it's like 14 months
Yeah.
after, it takes 14 months basically for a subscriber to be worth more than just a one-time purchaser.
Yeah.
Which is like mind-blowing to me. I think it would be different though on Amazon. So I'm curious, like maybe we'll have to look at that a little bit. Is see like, hey, what does the return rate look like? And is our LTV higher on Amazon? I would guess it is. Kind of like what you're saying.
I would guess it is too. The one thing I've seen is going back to the first time subscriber coupons is the ideal amount, if this is slightly counterintuitive, is actually between like 10 to 20%, where it's enough of a discount to push them over the edge to subscribe.
Yeah.
But actually what you see is if you go above like 30%, if you get 30 or 40% off the first time subscription, people will subscribe and then cancel immediately.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like,
Yeah, because it's
not getting good customers.
It's so enticing that people are like, oh, this is worth like an extra button click. Like, I'll buy this now and I'll scale to Amazon the next day and click it.
That makes sense.
And yeah, I mean, it was like customer behavior. But so it is funny because like, yeah, the ideal amount is typically 10 to 20% off that first time order.
Interesting.
That's like kind of the amount that minimizes churn. Okay, we're kind of wrapping up a little bit here. I mean, so we launched on Amazon in November. The first 3 months, can I say the number?
Well, what number?
The Amazon number.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the first 3 months, you hit 500,000 per month.
Yep.
How do you see the channel evolving, kind of over this year, and then kind of in the future?
Yeah. So like right now we only have one product. Well, okay, we have two products technically. We only have our main color box and then we have our shampoo and conditioner. We basically just want to keep adding in new products. We're talking recently about 2 other products that we could launch on there.
Yeah.
So that's something else we're thinking about for the rest of this year. Is just continuing to launch all of our new products on Amazon and scaling those up as much as we possibly can. I really want to see, like I said earlier, get this to 7 figures.
Yeah.
Hopefully maybe by the end of this year. I haven't like really mapped that out, but yeah, I think that could be possible. 7-figure a month run rate just on Amazon itself. I also think though, continuing to just improve our current experience with our color box.
Yeah.
I've only really been on there for, like 5 months.
Yeah.
I think we'll continue to get new reviews, do A/B testing, improve our listing, continue to improve conversion rate, hopefully rank more highly for some of these other keywords and say hello to our good friend at the top there, maybe bump him out of the first spot. I don't know. Well, we'll see about that one. But yeah, I think that's really the big things I'm thinking about. New product expansion and continuing, especially with our main hero product.
Yeah.
Just like A/B test the hell out of that, make that as good as we possibly can.
Okay. And I guess if you were talking to other CEOs, CMOs at similar sized brands, like who haven't launched on Amazon, like what kind of advice would you give them, or how would you kind of frame Amazon in terms of like the context of your overall business?
Yeah, it kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Like, I'm a big focus guy, so it kind of depends on where you're at. If you are seeing really awesome growth, you might not need to be on Amazon. And if you are starting to get to the point where you're like, all right, we're doing 8 figures a year, things are just not, it's harder. You should probably start thinking about Amazon at that point. Because like I said, there is a brand new pool of customers that you can tap into. And I think that's real, and it helps improve overall efficiency, which will then allow you to acquire more total new customers. I can also share, we are very new customer focused because we have such good like retention rates already.
Yeah.
People just come back and buy. They love the product.
Yeah.
So we are really thinking about how do we get as many new customers as possible. And I think, yeah, Amazon has definitely helped with that. This is like the hard part with Amazon is you can't look at like Amazon and Shopify they're not playing nice.
They don't play nice together.
They don't.
They do not.
No. So you can't see really like, hey, what is a new customer on Amazon? What is a new customer on Shopify? You know, have they already purchased on Shopify if they are a new customer on Amazon? But we basically are trying to be conservative, and we're like 70% of people.
Wow.
Let's just say are new customers on Amazon. So we just take our total revenue on Amazon, 70%. We just assume that that's roughly going to be new customers. And we also were looking at our own, like how much did it go down by in Shopify, et cetera.
Yeah.
But that's something like we've now had 2 months out of this year have been record setting new customer sales months.
Amazing.
Yeah. So like that's been pretty awesome for us. So I think if you are seeing good overall growth, but it's slowing down a little bit, and you want to just like you have the bandwidth and the ability. Like if you are still like somehow operating a brand basically like by yourself, and you don't have a team of people, or maybe you have like one other employee, you need to hire some people probably, or like work with David to help you with this stuff. But if you have the bandwidth and you have the team ready to go and absolutely crush an Amazon launch, I think it can be super, super valuable.
Amazing. Yeah. No, no, that's great. Yeah, I guess. And then one last question is so what kind of expectations did you come into the process when working with an Amazon agency like mine? And then what kind of surprised you about working with us, and then anything with that process?
Yeah. Well, I have very high expectations for anyone I work with. So, like, we have a very, very extensive hiring process. I think you even we interviewed you basically.
You interviewed me for about 3 hours.
Yeah, and with Snehal too, and so we have very high expectations. I think you knocked those out of the park. Like, I think, in terms of like response time, that's something I always think about is like, hey, how quickly are we able to like turn this stuff around, and how well do people respond to feedback? That's another big thing. Like we're really paying attention to. So we are very particular. I think I even told you that multiple times. So I was like, especially on the design front, that's something like we are a premium brand. So that's maybe another thing I should have mentioned earlier is like you do have control over like the A+ content and listing images. So like trying to make that feel as premium as possible.
Be surprised at how many brands get that wrong, where they're so premium off of Amazon.
Yeah.
Like their Facebook ads look so good, everything.
Yeah.
And then they launch on Amazon with like some DTC imagery, and it's like a picture of a product with like a white background.
No.
And then they come to me, they're like, David, like we're not doing well on Amazon. It's not the same platform.
Yeah, you got to treat it differently. You definitely have to treat it differently. Like I said, you have to educate customers way more, because like on a website you can have like an about us page, you can have a FAQ page, you can have like absolutely everything you need, right? You can have an our story, whatever it is. You can have a bajillion different pages. You can make the page as long as you want. You can have 5,000 videos.
You have a Facebook ad beforehand. You have an advertorial. You have your product page. You have customer service emails after.
Like, so you've got to put way more information in there, but you can still like you want it to look good and like feel premium. I don't even know how to like describe it.
It's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it.
Yeah.
That's one thing in like, I'm not a graphic designer. I used to be an engineer before I was a marketer. I'm like the least graphic design person ever, but you know it when you see it. And like, I've seen some examples now, like some of our graphic designers just knock it out of the park. I think they've knocked it out of the park for you.
I was going to say, I think you guys did an awesome job. Yeah. On the graphic design side of things. Yeah. You basically took we gave you a bunch of information, and you figured out how to fit that into a visual context for specifically Amazon. And that's like the thing is there's a certain way you have to do it on Amazon, and understanding like customer behavior and like how they're going to look through the listing images. Do they go to the A+? What areas of the page? Like, I think we added in a Q&A section recently, because that's a huge thing like customers will look for. So it's like understanding all of that stuff. It's something that
appears before the reviews. So if you scroll down on your phone, you see the Q&A first, and then you see the reviews.
Yes.
So, I mean, like, typical customer behavior on Amazon, like they will click through, they'll leave the top like 3 reviews. Amazon recently, actually, and this just started happening like last week, is hiding a lot of these reviews. I don't know if you've noticed this, but they used to be that you could click through like the pages of reviews, and now they're just doing the AI summary and maybe like the top 3 reviews, but then that's it.
Oh, why? Well, it is.
Well, I think they're trying to avoid more like review manipulation kind of like scandals and stuff like that. And one way to do that is just make it so most people can't access actual customer reviews. This is a very recent change. I'm still kind of monitoring it to see like what the exact impact will be.
Okay. We hopefully we're allowed to do this. We have a VA right now going through all of our reviews and just copying and pasting like what the star is, because we want to know.
Yeah. Right. Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I thought so, but I don't know.
I mean, there used to be extensions too, like where you could download that. Okay. I mean, I know we're kind of coming up on time, but yeah. I mean, I think this is really valuable. Just in terms of how to think about Amazon from your perspective, because like I've been doing Amazon since 2015. Like, oh my god, it's been like 10 years now.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. Actually, I still don't believe
Got a decade in the game.
Oh, it's played the game. It's good. And it's so fascinating just to hear how brand owners outside of Amazon think about it. And I think your experience has been very valuable.
Yeah, it's been really awesome for us. Like I said, it was just we're slowing down, and I feel like we've got the juice back in us now. You know,
Yeah.
we've got that hyper growth because we were like doubling and tripling every year, and then we were like hit 2024, and we were like, oh, things are harder now.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, yeah, 2025. Since really we launched on Amazon, it's like, wow, this is changing the game.
Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, the next video you should check out is a video on the 3-tiered ad strategy, which is a big reason about how we're able to spend $150,000 per month for D2C brands and grow profitably every single month. So you can check that out right here, and then I look forward to seeing you there.